Okay, so what we want to do here is we've got the ring design part while the prong head is in the acid kind of cleaning up. We're going to come in and make the shank part of the ring. So that'll kind of give us a head start on setting it up with the prong heads. So what we're going to do is go ahead, and it's a 7.5, so we just take it to a 7.5 on the mandrel, and then bend it around that. But right now this material's pretty stiff, so we need to go ahead and anneal it. You've already seen the annealing process, so we're not going to bore you with the details. We'll be back in a minute. Now, since this is round material, I think probably the best thing to do is that we're just going to run it through the mill and the rolling mill and just flatten it out a little bit, just to give ourselves a little bit more design than just pure round. Oh, that helped a little bit, but let's run it through another time or two here. Yeah, that's much better. Just maybe one more. Yeah, so what that did is that flattened out a top and a bottom, gives us a basic ring shank shape, and then we can go from there. Okay, let's go back over to the bench itself. We'll just swing you around here. And drop it in. There we go. There's our shank. We are going to, we're going to have to anneal it again, because now I just hardened it by rolling it. So let's just anneal it one more time. I'll be ready. Okay, freshly annealed, ready to go. We will put it around the mandrel. We're going to just basically swing it around, give ourselves a ring shape. Okay. Now at this point we're at 8.5, so we want to definitely make it smaller. But first we're going to have to make these loopy designs, which is pretty simple, or let's say not quite as complex as it could be. I just kind of come around and make a nice bend, making it very very smooth bend, and then do the same on this side. Get a nice bend there, bring it back together, and now we're at a 6.5. Well, we're at about a 7. So that's getting close, and looks like we got to kind of come back just a little bit. I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll put it on the mandrel itself like this, and then we'll take a leather mallet and wang this sucker until it goes into a circle, which it doesn't want to do. Okay. There, we have other ways. We have ways here. Okay. Now what I don't want to do is grab it with a rigid pair of pliers and put a bunch of dents in it. Because the less dents you have, the less cleanup you have later. Okay, now we can just grab this and swing it around. There we go. Much better. Let's do the same over here. We'll swing that around. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, if you look at it, it looks like a mess, right? Well, it is kind of a mess. But we're at about a 6.5, which is kind of where we want to be. Start pounding. Now we're at a 7.5. And we've got space, and I'm going to put this other prong head in here just to kind of show you. We've got space for the stone to go in now. Okay. In fact, we're probably going to end up taking it to an 8.5 or so. There's an 8. Yeah, that's going to look good. And here's the stone. We'll put the stone kind of in place just to see what it's going to look like once it's there. Yeah, that's going to look good. I know it doesn't look like much now, but we're going to get there. Okay, we got our head out of the pickle or the acid, and it's kind of melted off all of the fluxes and everything like that. And we've inspected each one of our lines, and they're all in pretty good shape. You can see this one here is a little bit off, but and we'll use a pointer here. That one's a little bit off, but once the stone gets set, these get cut off at about this level here. They can get bent back and forth a little bit, and you know, you don't even see that it's off. So I'm not really worried about it. But well, so what I did is I took a piece of material, gold, of course, and bent it up to where I thought a ring might be formed from. And you can kind of see right there how it's going to form out. Now, if you're looking at the sketch, we could imagine that this leg is one of those, and this leg is the other one. Now, once we get them welded in place, then I'll come back and build some extra legs to finish off the two parts, and also you know, work this so that it has a nice finish to it. So we'll go over to the welding table. Actually, you know what? Maybe what we want to do is go ahead and file these little edges a little bit just to kind of get a nice taper going. So let's go ahead and file those edges. And we're going to draw you back here so you can see a little bit better. Oops, the other way back. So we're just going to take the file and go ahead and shape this curve here. And the reason why we're shaping it now before we weld it in place is because, of course, the prong head will be in the way and you won't be able to file it like this. And you can kind of see it's starting to kind of get a little bit of a scallop in there, which always looks really nice. And with jewelry, it's about looking nice. Yeah, that has a good feel to it. We'll take it out a little bit further up here at the top. That looks good. So come in and do this other one on the other side. We'll get ourselves a little scallop going there. And we're just using the contour of the file to create the shape. There we go. Now we'll take the flat end of the file and come back behind here. Notice how we've got a flatness here, and then it kind of starts to roll over. So what we'll do is we'll accentuate that flatness and turn it just a little bit so that it has a nice stand up. See that? So this whole thing creates a nice smooth arc right on over. And we'll do the same thing up here too. And we're really not taking away from the strength of the ring because there's a lot of metal there. I mean, as far as rings are concerned. Let's give it a little bit more angle. There we go. A little bit right there. Just to finish off that contour. And we got a really nice scallop forming right there. Now we'll do the same thing over on this side. Bring that in from right up out here. All right, so there's the beginnings of the whole process. Now what I think, we've got some rough edges out here. I think what I want to do is come in and ball these up, and we'll take it over to the weld, to the welding bench, and go ahead and do that. All right, so we've got our piece here, and what I like to do is I've just grabbed some little pieces of flux that have fallen off and you know, fallen astray, you might say, and go ahead and pick those up and throw them on the welding table, and then I can kind of pull in and grab a little flux right there, and then hang the piece so that where I want to heat it is directly straight up and down. You can see that? And then bring the torch in under it, just like that. And just heat up that one little area until it balls up. There it goes. Let's do a little bit more. I think we're going to need a little more flux, actually. All right, we're going to go pick up that phone call and we'll be right back. Okay, we got a little extra flux on there, and that helps the metal relax when it goes into molten state. Let's go ahead and heat that up. There we go. So we get ourselves just a little bit of a ball right there on the end. Let's get some flux on the other one. Go ahead and heat that one up. There we go. Nice. Good finish. Well, we got that. We're going to go back over to the welding table. We'll have a look at everything, kind of bend things around until they fit, and then come back over here. We'll be back. Okay, we've got our ring shank set up. Fire up the torch. We're going to come in with a fairly tight flame here because we don't want to lose our other welds. And we're going to do this weld with medium solder, which is what everything else is kind of welded with, which could cause a problem. Well, I just lost my little chip, so we're going to have to cut another one. That happens on a regular basis. There's our chip. Let's go ahead and put it up on the ring shank. So now it's just kind of sitting there. And what we want to do is we want to come in and you could use third arms. I've used them many times, and I find that you know, it takes so long to set them up and to get everything all organized that sometimes it's easier just to come in and hope and pray, you might say. Kind of heat up this whole little area here until we get a good weld going. Let me just come in just a little bit more. There we go. And melt it in place. That should do the trick. Now let's see what it looks like from the side view, because oftentimes the ring will, you know, it'll look good from the top, and then this will be tweaked that way, or it'll have a roll that way. And actually, surprisingly enough, looks pretty good. So I think we're just going to go with what we've got. Maybe just a little bit of torquing and bending, but other than that, I think we're pretty well set. So let's go back over to the bench and do some torquing and bending, and we will be back. Well, I think it just looks really good, just like it is. Put it on my finger and see what that looks like. And it looks like it's just, see, it's just slightly tweaked to one side. And we can remedy that just by bending the shank just a little bit more, and it'll pull everything over just a bit. So let's go ahead and do that and see what we can come up with. And we're going to take a pair of round needle nose and grab that shank right about there and just give it just a bit of a torque. Just enough to get it to square up on the finger, just like it did right there. So that looks pretty good. And it definitely looks good that way. So I think we're pretty well set. Now what I didn't do is I didn't weld this side because I wanted to be able to have enough flexibility to torque things around to get it in place. So now, if you'll notice, there's just a little bit of a, hang on a second. There's just a little bit of a gap right there. So I need to get this piece closer to the bezel, or not the bezel, the prong head, and that probably will be pretty easy. We'll just kind of bend it under. Well, maybe it won't be easy. Let's see here. Let's just try and and grabbing it like that and pulling it around just a little further. See, that what that did was get that ball out of the way, and now there's enough room that this thing can maneuver a little bit. So yeah, we've got just a bit of maneuver room. So I'm thinking we could probably just grab it like that and pull it under and bring it back, and there it is. Bloop. It touches. Now, if it's a little bit low, see that? Let's see, can you see it? Yeah, see that? So then we just kind of grab it here and bring it back just a bit, and that'll bring it right up into place. Not too bad, huh? Okay, now we'll take it back to the welding bench, weld that one little section right there, and we will have ourselves a solid ring. Then we come back in and do some, you know, adding some fancy stuff to it. Okay, let's go over to the bench again. Alrighty, a little bit of flux, chip of solder, bring it up and in place. A little bit of heat. Now we have to kind of heat it really slow, or else the water in the flux will boil and boil that little chip off. And in fact, it usually happens once or twice before you get there. I almost did it there. Looks like we made it. Okay, so now we just heat up our shank while we're heating the prong head. Just kind of bring all of that into up to temperature at one time, and there we go. Good solid ring. I think we're going to do just fine with that. Now, I think at this point we'll drop it in the flux or in the acid again, melt off all of this flux hanging around here, make sure our welds are in good shape, and then come back to it, and then we'll do the rest of the design back over here and in this little area here, and then we'll be able to start to look at setting the stone. Maybe we ought to check and see what size it is. I think we're supposed to go to a 7. So yeah, let's take over there and check the size. Okay, and we're going to probably leave it at a size 7, because by the time we go in later on, once we polish this, we're going to go in and cut out all of this material here and round that up, and we'll probably pull some of the material off of the inside of this, and that's going to make it even a little bit bigger, and so we don't want to get it too big, but I think we're in pretty good shape right now. We put it on, it's nice and straight. Nice and even. I know, the prongs make it look pretty weird, but once you drop that stone in, it's going to look pretty nice. In fact, we could just kind of drop the stone in and see. There we are, right there. Yeah, it's going to be a nice little ring. Okay, we're going to put this in the acid and come back, probably tomorrow, and go ahead and continue the process.